Good evening, one and all. We welcome you all to the International Webinar Series on Holistic Health, Well-being and Sustainable Development 2022-2023, commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, nation celebrating 76 years of independence, India's G20 presidency, United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2015 to 2030, as part of awareness and campaigns in collaboration with Sri Holistic Health Foundation India and Sri Research Institute, Center for Art, Sciences and Health. Before we start our sessions, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः.
With the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue with today's sessions. Today, we are commemorating World Post Day. Innovation, integration, and inclusion. Postal operations provide some 1.5 billion people worldwide with access to basic financial services, payments, money transfers, savings, etc. The global parcels market has grown from just under 450 billion US dollars to 2018 to over 500 billion US dollars in 2020, with a network of comprising more than 650,000 offices and 5.3 million staff globally, and a public service mandate from many governments. The post is unparalleled in its ability to deliver services to anyone, anywhere. World Post Day is celebrated each year on 9th October on the anniversary of establishment of the Universal Postal Union in 1874 in the Swiss capital, Bern. It was declared World Post Day by UPU Congress held in Tokyo, Japan in 1969. Since then, countries across the world participate annually in the celebrations. The posts in many countries use the event to introduce or promote new postal products and services. In 2015, countries all over the world committed themselves to working together towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, which aim to extend poverty, hunger, fight inequality and injustice, and take action to reverse climate change, to name just some of these 17 agreed new goals, playing its part in the global effort. And the Post Day has a more relevant role than ever by providing infrastructure for the development. Post office play a crucial role in fostering cohesive, inclusive, connected communities. Presently, over the million postal employees are entrusted with a variety of essential and personal items, from messages, gifts, and goods to money and medicines. This year theme urges government and their postal services to support the development of a digital single postal territory that complements the extensive physical network developed over centuries. It also extends an invitation to all of us to collaborate with the Universal Postal Union to ensure that people everywhere need look no further than their local post office to find access to digital economy. So this year, the theme for World Post Day is Together for Trust, collaborating for a safe and connected future. UP's International Letter Writing Competition is being held, which was launched in 1971, aims to promote literacy among children through the art of letter writing, attracting more than 1.2 million global participants each year. The competition encourages young people aged 9 to 15 to write letters on a given theme. This year's Imagine You Are a Superhero, and your mission is to make all roads around the world safer for children. Write a letter to someone explaining which superpowers you would need to achieve your mission. The purpose of World Post Day is to create awareness of the role of the postal sector in people's and business everyday lives and its contribution to the social and economic development of countries. The celebration encourages member countries to undertake program activities aimed at generating a broader awareness of their post role and activities among the public and media on a national scale. Every year, more than 150 countries celebrate World Post Day in a variety of ways in certain countries, and World Post Day is observed as a working holiday. Many posts use the event to introduce or promote a new postal products and services. Some posts also use World Post Day to reward their employees for a good service. In many countries, philatelic exhibitions are organized and the new stamps and date cancellation marks are issued. Other activities include the display of World Post Day posters in post office and other public places, and open days at post offices, mail centers, and post museums. The holding of conference seminars and workshops, as well as cultural sports and other recreational activities. Many postal administrations issue special souvenirs such as T-shirts and badges. For countries participating in the UPU International Letter Writing Competition, national winners are often honored on 9th October. International Letter Writing Competition for young people this year (52nd International Letter Writing Competition) is being organized. Since 1971, the UPU has encouraged young writers aged between 9 to 15 to write letters on a given theme to win exciting prizes. The competition is an excellent way of making young people aware of the important role postal services play in our societies. It develops their skills in composition and their ability to express thoughts clearly. It also fosters enjoyment of letter writing and helps strengthen the bonds of international friendship. The UPU's Secretariat, the International Bureau, chooses a theme annually and publicizes it each year. Participating countries then organize the competition at the national level through the post, often with support of the educational authorities and media. Recognizing safety as a crucial component of its mission and in support of the UN Second Decade of Action for Road Safety, the UPU, in partnership with the UN Road Safety Fund, UNRSF, will hold its 52nd International Writing Competition in 2023 under the theme, Imagine you are a superhero and your mission is to make all roads around the world safer for children. So write a letter to someone explaining which superpowers you would need to achieve your mission. Visual support material as well as the promotion users assets, including posters in multiple languages, competition rules, social media cards, hashtags, and sample messaging can be downloaded from official websites and the international jury by the International Bureau judges the letters and selects the overall winners and candidates that merit a special mention. So this year, the list is announced. So Universal Postal Union, the first known postal document found in Egypt, dates from 255 BC, but even before that, postal services existed on nearly every continent in the form of messengers serving kings and emperors. Over time, religious orders and universities added their own message delivery systems to exchange news and information. Relay stations were set up along the messages routes to speed delivery over long distances, and eventually, private individuals were allowed to use the messengers to communicate with one another. During the 17th and 18th centuries, the exchange of mail between countries was largely governed by the bilateral postal agreements, but by the 19th century, the web of bilateral agreements had become so complex that it began to impede the rapidly developing trade and commercial sectors. Order and simplification were needed in the international postal services. The process was started by national postal reforms. The most noteworthy reform occurred in England in 1840 when Sir Rowland Hill introduced a system whereby postage on letters have to be prepaid. Furthermore, uniform rates were charged for all letters of a certain weight in domestic service, regardless of the distance traveled. Sir Rowland Hill was credited with introducing the world's first postage stamp. In 1863, United States Postmaster General Montgomery Blair called a conference in Paris. Delegates from 15 European and American countries met and succeeded in laying down a number of general principles for mutual agreements, but the scope of their decisions was limited, and they were not able to settle on an international postal agreement. This task was left to Heinrich von Stephan, a senior post official from the North German Confederation. He grew up a plan for the International Postal Union. At his suggestion, and Swiss government convened an international conference in Bern on 15 September 1870. The conference was attended by the representatives from 22nd nations. On 9th October of the same year, a day now celebrated throughout the world as World Posting, the Treaty of Bern established the General Postal Union, was signed. Membership in the union grew so quickly during the following 3 years that its name was changed to Universal Postal Union in 1878. The 1874 Treaty of Bern succeeded in unifying a confusing international maze of postal services and regulations into a single postal territory for the reciprocal exchange of letters. The barriers and frontiers that had impeded the free flow and growth of international mail had finally been pulled down. So, as UN posts also, United Nations also issues stamps from New York, Geneva, and Vienna. So the recent latest issue, the stamp is on World Mental Health Day, which is being commemorated tomorrow. The United Nations recognizes World Mental Health Day each year on 10th October to raise awareness about the importance of the mental health and to support those living with mental health conditions. The theme for 2023 is mental health is a universal human right. Mental health is an integral part of our general health and well-being, as well as a basic human right. Having good mental health means we are better able to connect, function, cope, and thrive. However, people living with mental health conditions often experience human rights violations, discrimination, and stigma. The result is that millions of people around the world suffer in silence and are greatly affected in their daily lives. The World Health Organization estimates that 1 in 8 people across the world live with a mental health condition. Despite being prevalent in countries around the world, most societies neglect mental health and do not provide the care and support people needed and deserve. While mental health conditions can be effectively treated at a relatively low cost, the gap between people needing care and those with access to care remains substantial, and effective treatment coverage remains extremely low. So, World Post Day, as we pump for a throwback to communication methods of the past with some good old fashioned letters, mail carrier services have been in existence since ancient times. And even though we can communicate almost anything literally at the touch of a button, there is no denying the importance of our local postal services or the excitement of receiving a package in the mail. World Post Day marks the anniversary of the establishment of the Universal Postal Union, and it's from this humble wellspring that the global communication revolution started and continues to this day. So World Post Day is on October 9th every year. The date was selected as it marks the anniversary of the establishment of Universal Postal Union in 1874. Sending a letter is one of the most iconic acts of showing someone you care. While we may not pay much attention to the process or regulations that go into zipping our mail around the globe after we lick the stamp, and it takes an international team to get birthday cards and online shopping from point A to B. Origins of what we know the postal service dated to ancient Egypt, circa 2500 BC in the West, while the oldest official postal service is found to be in 550 BC, Iraq. And various civilizations utilized a courier service to pass letters, messages, news, and parcels across the empires, spanning thousands of miles, inspiring the modern idea of the mailman. The US-owned postal service dates back to Benjamin Franklin and the first Postmaster General in 1775. So, as already mentioned, on October 9, 1874, the Universal Postal Union was established as a means of cooperation and regulation among its member states' mail services. Today, it allows mail to flow freely from your mailbox to Timbuktu and everywhere in between. In 1969, World Post Day was inaugurated at the Tokyo Universal Postal Congress. Each year, the UPU's 192 member countries celebrate the World Post Day on October 9 to mark the importance of universal mail and the UPU's contributions to society and the global economy. Countries hold the special stamp exhibitions and launch new postal initiatives. India hosts a week-long celebration each year over the week of October 9. As a testament to bring people together, the UPU hosts an international letter writing competition for children up to age of 15. Winners are selected from each country and the world champion is selected by a UPU panel. Not only does the program promote literacy, but it keeps the excitement of waiting for the mail alive and well. The first organized postal system originates in ancient Persia on the orders of King Cyrus the Great in 550 BC. As per the West, olden piece of mail sent, the oldest example of an official post comes from 3rd century BC, Egypt. Englishman Sir Ronald Hill introduces the world's first postage stamp in 1840. The West, the first postal conference hosted representatives from 22 nations gathered in Bern, Switzerland to plan for an international postal union on September 15, 1874. The General Post Union is established, later to be called the Union Postal Union. The Treaty of Bern held on October 9, 1874. The Universal Postal Congress in Tokyo establishes World Post Day in 1969. Why do you think dogs go crazy over mail carriers? Dogs are territorial. As far as they are concerned, your friendly mailman is a daily threat to their domain. Plus, they come bearing a bag full of unfamiliar smells from across the globe. That simulation is enough to drive Buster bananas. So that is the reason why dogs are, crazy over these postmans or mail carriers, or especially courier people. Everybody loves to receive a letter in the mail. And since we do most of our communicating online these days, sending something the old-fashioned way is a perfect way to honor our shared postal heritage. They come to our houses nearly every day. Maybe we should take the time to say hello and introduce ourselves and thank them for this service. The US Postal Service organizes a food drive The US Postal Services organized a food drive for the second Saturday in May, help out those less fortunate by contributing. The USPS says they delivered more than 1.6 billion pounds of food through this program. So the US Postal Service processed more than 5,000 pieces of mail every second. The USPS receives no tax dollars for operating expenses. The word mail comes from a medieval English word referring to a traveler's bag or pack. The earliest documented evidence of a courier system is from Egypt around 2400 BC. ZIP stands for Zone Improvement Plan, begun in 1963 by the USPS. John Lennon once sang that life is what happens to you while you are busy making other plans, and in the hustle and bustle world, it is good to take time to reach out those we love. The Postal Service lets us do that quickly, efficiently, for a good price too. Although the US Postal Service has no official motto, it is often associated with a quote from the ancient Greek historian Herodotus. Neither snow, nor rain, nor heat, nor gloom of night stays these couriers from the swift completion of their appointed rounds. The quote is a fitting tribute to postal workers the world over who are tasked with delivering our most precious correspondence. Most of us communicate via the internet these days, but there's just something extra special about opening the mailbox to find a handwritten note from someone far away. This week is also commemorated as Baby Loss Awareness Week in UK. It is observed annually every October 9th to 15th in the UK. It aims to raise awareness of the baby loss during pregnancy, at birth, or in infancy while supporting bereaved parents and families. This week is also an opportunity for bereaved parents and their families and friends to unite with others across the globe to commemorate their babies' lives. Moreover, Baby Loss Awareness Week is to drive improvements in care and support for those affected by pregnancy and baby loss. We invite you to join in on these efforts to create awareness about such an important issue. Baby Loss Awareness Week is a week of remembrance. It's also to raise awareness of such losses to improve care and support for those affected. It began as a Baby Loss Awareness Day on October 15, 2022. In the UK, it was initiated by a group of parents inspired by Pregnancy and Infant Loss Remembrance Day in the US. In 2003, the campaign expanded from a day to a week with events held across the UK. The first Wave of Light event was held at the American International Church in London, attended by representatives and members of each participating organization. In 2004, the campaign was more formal collaboration between 5 organizations, including SANDS Miscarriage Association, Ectopic Pregnancy Trust, Antenatal Results and Choices, Baby Loss. Ribbon pins were commercially manufactured and balloon releases were held in some locations. In 2006, the distinctive 2-color ribbon was introduced, the pink and blue ribbon. Ribbon pins were made again by bereaved parents with their family and friends. Since 2010, SANDS has played an essential role in organizing Baby Loss Awareness Week. In 2014, SANDS began taking a lead role in promoting the campaign as part of their work, raising awareness of the issues associated with pregnancy and the baby loss in the UK. Baby Loss Awareness Week is dedicated to eliminating the taboo on open discussions regarding pregnancy and baby loss. The United Kingdom's first ever pregnancy research center, which focuses on preeclampsia, eclampsia, and premature birth, is opened at St. Thomas Hospital in 1997. The first observance of Baby Loss Awareness Week is initiated in the UK on October 15, 2002. The campaign extends from a day to a week and is held in the same year as the first official wave of light service in 2003. Labour Member of Parliament MP Vicky Foxcroft offers personal testimony in support of the Week of Remembrance in 2016. Thomas National Centre for Maternity Improvement, which is the UK's largest charity researching the causes and prevention of miscarriage, stillbirth, and neonatal death, among other things, is founded in 2019. So what is considered as a rainbow baby? This is the baby that you have after the loss of a child. This baby acts as a symbol of renewal and hope. So what is called when a newborn dies? It is neonatal death, also called as newborn death, when a baby dies during the first 28 days of life. Some studies suggest that stress can increase the risk of miscarriage, but there is no direct link between stress and miscarriage. The pink and blue ribbons are usually made by bereaved parents with the help of their family and friends. Buy and wear a pin to show support and bereaved parents. The money raised from the sales will go to charities supporting people for the loss of babies. Take part in the wave of light by lighting a candle for 1 hour at 7 p.m. and leaving it on for at least an hour in remembrance of the babies who died during pregnancy, during birth or soon after birth, and in infancy. So the miscarriage incidence is increased if the parents are 35 years old or older. The parents' age plays a significant role. That's why nowadays we see lots of IVF centers and conception centers are growing in huge demand, and many couples are approaching because of late marriages. Generally nowadays people are preferring late marriages more than 35 years and old. That's why many people are not able to conceive, and they are approaching IVF centers and fertility centers, and they are facing problems in conceiving and getting pregnant. So around 10 to 20% of known pregnancies end in miscarriage, but the actual number can be higher, which are often unreported. And miscarriages can happen to anyone, and the causes are not well understood. You can prevent a miscarriage from happening. In most cases, you can just try to reduce the risk by trying to stay as healthy as possible. Most women who experience miscarriage can have successful and healthy pregnancies afterward. So it's not a sign of infertility. Baby Loss Awareness Week is for us to show support to those bereaved parents for the loss of their babies. Hopefully, the support can help reduce the grief they are going through. Baby Loss Awareness Week is an opportunity for bereaved parents to connect globally with other parents with the same experience. They can support one another and commemorate the babies together. This week can be eye-opening for all who hope to one day become parents. Being aware in advance of the causes of miscarriages can help one be better prepared. Today is also commemorated as Indigenous Peoples Day in US, celebrated on second Monday of October, on October 9th this year to honor the cultures and histories of the Native American people. The day is centered around reflecting on their tribal roots and tragic stories that hurt but strengthen their communities. The first seed of Indigenous Peoples Day was planted at the UN International Conference on Discrimination in 1977. The first state to recognize the day was South Dakota in 1989. Berkeley, California, and Santa Cruz followed suit. Although the day was still considered Columbus Day up to 1937, many people began calling it Indigenous Peoples Day to celebrate the rich culture and lives of the Native American people. For the Native Americans, Columbus Day was always hurtful as it glorified the violent past constituting 500 years of colonial torture and oppression by European explorers like Columbus and those who settled in America. Indigenous Peoples Day draws attention to the pain, trauma, and broken promises that were erased by the celebration of Columbus Day. Before his arrival, the indigenous folk were successful, self-sufficient, and communities that sustained life for thousands of years. Year by year, the movement to change Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day spreads more and more states, towns, and cities across the United States of America. Indigenous Peoples Day celebrates, recognizes, and honors the beautiful traditions and cultures to the indigenous people, not just in America, but around the world. Their way of life and culture carries wisdom and valuable insights into how we can live life more sustainably. Today, 14 US states celebrates Indigenous Peoples Day and not Columbus Day, as well as the District of Columbia. More than 130 cities, including Arlington, Amherst, Cambridge, Brooklyn, Marblehead, Great Barrington, Northampton, Provincetown, Somerville, and Salem, also celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day. Many organizations are seeking to address the lack of access Indigenous people have to higher education and have created scholarships to help address this. The group of Native American tribes from Illinois, Great Lakes, and Ohio successfully persuaded the British to change policies in favor of Native Americans. In May 1763, the Cherokee tribe is considered to leave their tribal lands by President Andrew Jackson, taking the path now called the Trail of Tears on April 5th, 1838. Waboka, a Native American, has a mystical experience and make others join him in a ghost dance ritual for peace and prosperity. On January 1st, 1899, Native Americans in the US are granted US citizenship, Indian Citizenship Act on June 2nd, 1920. 1992, Columbus Day became Indigenous Peoples Day as a sign of protest against the massacres that Native Americans suffered at the hands of the Europeans. The day helps as a remedy for harmful effects of racism in the US and the inaccurate historical facts, and that has been spread to justify white supremacy and colonization. Celebrating Columbus Day and Columbus himself goes against the very essence of the indigenous nations, as he was the man who began the genocide of the Native Americans. Some must read books and include a short account of the destruction of the Indies by Barnum de Lesseps, 1491, New Revelations of the Americans Before Columbus by Charles C. Mann, and Indigenous People History of the United States by Roxanne Jumper Otis, and Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee by D. Brown, which is indigenous literature. Can attend an event hosted by a group of Native Americans or Native American organization. Learn about more how you can be assistance with any issues that group is facing. Watch a movie with your friends and have a discussion afterward. There are a plethora of films to choose from, like Dances with Wolves 1990, Songs My Brothers Taught Me 2015, Gaither 2020, and Indian Horse 2017. Native American women fought alongside men in battles, the most popular among them, the Buffalo Calf Road women of the Northern Cherokee tribe, who are female warriors. The indigenous Americans were the first to domesticate the strains of maize that produced popcorn thousands of years ago. The first Native American and American to dance the Bolshoi Theater in Moscow and with the Paris Opera Ballet was Maria Talchin. The Native American tribes of Foxes, Sox, and Assinniboine played a game called shinning, which is where hockey came from. The Secure Tree is named after the revered Cherokee leader Sekio, who created an alphabet for his people. So Indigenous Peoples Day celebrates the Native Americans, the original inhabitants of North America, and honors the beautiful indigenous traditions, cultures, and lives all around the world. We take a stand for and support the indigenous people on this day, and we should also offer support to those who invest and uplift the indigenous communities. Today is also commemorated as International Day of Respect for Cultural Diversity. This year, commemorations like every year on October 9th commemorates the diversity of Native Americans and Europeans in other areas of the world. It is also commemorated on the same day as Columbus Day. In Argentina, the festival is currently called the Day of Cultural Diversity Respect. It is commonly observed on the second Monday of October. However, some nations such as Venezuela and Chile observed it on October 12th, when Colombia observed it on October 17th, even though it is the same festival. So the name change and departure from the original date may reflect the fact that certain indigenous people may regard Columbus and Europeans as a bad occurrence. In Argentina, the Day of Respect for Cultural Diversity is a relatively new term for the occasion, previously known as Día de la Raza, which translates as the Day of Races, relating to explorer and navigator Christopher Columbus and his Hispanic crew. It is still known as Día de la Raza in several South American countries. It originated as a celebration to mark the importance of the Hispanic impact on the Americas. But over time, Día de la Raza has evolved into a counter celebration for the numerous cultures that make up modern South America, from indigenous peoples to those of Hispanic descent. And this is in line consistent with the reality that Columbus brought, both good and bad. The word La Raza is thought to originate from Spanish minister Faustino Rodriguez San Pedro, president of the Ibero-American Union, who sponsored the inaugural celebration in 1914 under the name Feast of the Race. Mexican writer Jose Vasconcelos stated in his 1925 book, La Raza Cosmica, that a continual mingling of races had begun. The Latin globe arena and will culminate into a new race. This ideology is deemed disrespectful to the indigenous culture, since many believe it compels them to accept their Hispanic origins. Due to these controversies surrounding the phrase La Raza, certain nations such as Venezuela have initiated the term Da di la Resistencia Indígena to highlight the reluctance of indigenous people to submit to the imposition of European culture. So we respect the multiplicity of cultural expression that has evolved over the years, interacting, nurturing, and integrating all people, honoring the diversity of traditions, belongings, and identities that make up our society, enriches us all while combating polarization and prejudice to increase intercultural understanding and collaboration. In Argentina, parades and celebrations recognize the invaluable Hispanic influence on the Americans. Cultural diversity promotes the belief that each individual can make a distinctive, valuable contribution to the society because of rather than despite their differences. Culture in its history reflects and define a people's values, beliefs, and goals, helping to shape their national identity. It is crucial to preserve our cultural past because it safeguards our national identity. Respect individual diversity and recognize that participation in a given group does not imply that all members of the group share the same roots, beliefs, rituals, and requirements. Encourage young people to recognize and value the characteristics that make people distinct and exceptional. The events are held in several local cities and towns, in addition to bringing people from all over the world together for 2 days of festivals and celebrations. Various museums around the country conduct informative and celebratory programs. For many individuals, incorporating parts of their cultural ancestry into their daily life is the most meaningful way to commemorate it. They practice and pass on the great principles they were taught. Keeping up with the current events can be emotionally devastating at times, but can also be immensely informative since we all related in some way. So today, over 6,000 languages are spoken throughout the world, many of which are spoken by only a few hundred individuals. So by emphasizing more on a common language like English and other few selective languages, most of the languages have become extinct and lost in the history. So that's why the appreciation of cultural diversity is very much important to promote the native languages. Mexicans celebrate New Year Eve by eating 12 grapes at midnight. This practice is quite popular through the Latin American countries and date back to their forefathers. The wonderful coconut-based cocktail, the pina colada, was conceived by Puerto Ricans, the coconut celebration. Spain has the lowest population density in Europe. It is physically 5 times larger than the United Kingdom, yet has 33% few people. Africa is home to between 800 and 1,500 of the world's languages, which is most linguistically diverse, making it the world's most linguistically varied continent. Some individuals claim that the global travel is changing the outlook of life, but it's difficult to know what that means unless You have met people on the other side of the world with whom you have the commonalities. You mostly likely live in a town, city, or area with individuals who do not share your cultural, religious, political, or general global views. Asking questions and listening to diverse points of views makes us all better people. You never know how your ideas will alter as a result. This is an ideal moment to dwell with more into the history of variety among Native Americans and Europeans, particularly for history buffs. It also allows you to understand more about the cultural variety. Today is also commemorated as Columbus Day in US, commemorating the landing of Christopher Columbus in the Americas in 1492. Over the last few decades, however, this celebration has faced serious controversy due to Christopher Columbus' various horrific acts against Native Americans throughout his lifespan as an explorer. Because of this, many places in California, New York, Minnesota, Colorado, and many have transformed this holiday into Indigenous Peoples' Day. This day is no longer as a painful reminder, but a positive symbol of how we progressed and evolved. So if you are one of the lucky people who don't have work today, now it's your chance to educate yourself on Native American culture and learn about the origins of nation. Today is also commemorated as Curious Events Day in US. So be inquisitive, be persistent, and be careful. Don't forget that age curiosity killed the cat. So that's an idiom. So Curious Events Day is aptly named since it itself is a curiosity. Nobody knows how it's originated, keeping us curious about this, or when, and certainly not why, all of which makes an inappropriate subject for curiosity, or at least reasoned conjecture. Some have theorized that it was intended as a day when you could feel free to not sweat the small stuff. The annoying squeak in the door of the medicine chest, those hard to open blister packs, the speed with refrigerated strawberries, appear to have attracted Lynch. With all of that, our minds, we could concentrate on things really worthy of our mental ability. Everyone, for example, is curious about the Loch Ness monster. Some days or something. We have photos, we have scientific instruments all this time and nobody has answered. And what about those big stone heads on Easter Island? Archaeologists have researched moving them to sledges and walking them side to side on ropes. But we are still curious. Don't forget crop circles. What explanation will be accepted for that? Aliens who drop in their midnight to prepare a landing field, artistic cows who need something to do besides chew their cud, a PR stunt for a tractor that can turn on a dime, and we can forget the massive 780-foot crop circle appearing in 2001 at the remote area of Milk Hill in Wiltshire, England. The elaborate design is composed of 409 circles. The mystery has inspired countless books, blogs, fan groups, and even Hollywood films. This and other crop circles remain a mystery today. In fact, Curious Events Day may be PR stunt, or it may have been born in a late night session involving too much drinking with participants waxing silly, wondering if there is a Guinness record for a large number of sumo wrestlers jumping on a bubble wrap, and why some people insist that cilantro tastes like soap. Nevertheless, It is a digital holiday. Now it is a perfect day to be curiously baffled about ancient mysteries, modern conspiracy theories, and the disappearance of Almela Earhart. So, Curious Events Day is an outlet for you to exercise your curiosity, and therefore your creativity as to contemplate the world. You yourself time to wonder how kittens figure out how to use litter box so fast and come up with a satisfactory explanation for someone who claims to have seen a ghost and many. So the first known use of the word for a busybody or of someone who has to know what you are doing and can't resist telling you there's a better way to do. It was in 1901. A but in sky is a good example of inappropriate curiosity corrupted into antisocial and offensive behavior. This proverb first appeared in a play by Ben Jonson, Every Man in His Honor, in 1958. In 1901, a newspaper in Titusville, Pennsylvania, printed an updated variation, which includes a second line, but satisfaction brought it back. So, how to celebrate this day? Hunt a missing person, watch search for D.B. Cooper, and make up your mind about what you think happened to the legendary skyjacker who parachuted out of a Boeing 727 with a bag full of cash. So read B.D. Cooper and Me, A Criminal, a Spy, and My Best Friend, and learn about another theory of who Cooper was. Maybe there might be so many stories you can learn about. Debunk a conspiracy theory, tell 100 people. That a theory which is false and see how many of them accept it as a truth and find out how many of them have tested and try to tell them this is just as a crazy story that went viral. And that's why we have to be very careful before accepting anything as truth. We have to verify every fact. So we'll see a few things about curious deaths and disappearances that went viral. American Jim Thompson, who revitalized the silk industry in Thailand in 1950s and supplied the fabric for the costumes in Broadway's The King and I, simply vanished while taking a walk in the jungle when he was visiting friends in Malaysia in 1961, and there was no material evidence. Farlap, the race horse who won the Melbourne Cup in Australia in 1930, just hours after surviving an assassination attempt, collapsed and died in California 2 years later, and rumors of poisoning swirled. Some suspected homicide on the hoof. There was no trace of English settlers who arrived on Roanoke Island, Virginia in 1587, when the ship that was to resupply them returned 3 years later. Deserted Roanoke was unsettling. Theories of cannibalism, going native, and droning have completed since 1961, when Michael Rockefeller, son of Nelson Rockefeller, was dumped off a catamaran off the coast of Indonesia, set out to swim ashore with 2 jerry cans attached to his belt and was never seen. He went into soup. In 1840, Edgar Allan Poe, found delirious in shabby clothes in a Baltimore gutter, lingered for several days, hallucinating and calling out for mysterious Reynolds. So go ahead and admit it. You have been curious about what was huge box delivered across the streets 2 days ago. And when the last time you checked in Voyager 1 and 2, the interstellar explorers, that left Earth 43 years ago, because people on our planet are curious about what's out there beyond the sun. So go to Jet Propulsion Labs website and see the latest photos from the Voyager interstellar mission. So don't you wonder if creatures on other heavenly body are looking for us? Maybe it might be conspiracy, we don't know. But our curiosity might help to find something. Everything we know today is a result of someone's curiosity. It was William Harvey in 16th century who wondered how your blood circulates. The Bright brothers were curious about being able to control a flying craft that was heavier than air. Curiosity builds our muscle and improves our lives, and what you have been noodling about. These all are the Western perspectives, but if you look at our own nation, our curious minds of sages who have given the vast ancient knowledge to the world, how curious they were in exploring. They were able to find and explore and document various medicines, the earliest medical system or medicine that was available in the form of Ayurveda. And they were able to see the stars and planets and predict the distance between sun and moon and between earth and other planets. At that time, that's the great Indian sages, without any technology, which is being used now, have been able to do wonders and have been able to maintain the planet in a sustainable way. But with the modern technology, we are digging our own graves and we are contributing to the destruction, nothing other than disasters and destruction, putting all the species into extinction. The curiosity should always be positive and productive. It should not lead us to disasters and destruction. Today is also commemorated as Health and Sports Day in Japan. Formerly known as Health Sports Day, is now known as Sports Day, is celebrated on Japan on the second Monday of October every year. So this year, the day falls on October 9th. The aim is to promote sports as an active lifestyle to ensure a healthy mind and body. It commemorates the opening of the 1964 Summer Olympics held in Tokyo. This day is used by many schools and businesses to hold their annual field day. It typically consists of a range of physical events ranging from more traditional track and field events such as relay races to more uncommon events such as tug of war and cavalry battle. So the very first Health and Sports Day was held on October 10, 1966, 2 years after 1964 Summer Olympics. To avoid Japanese rainy season, October was chosen for the unusually late Summer Olympics in the year 2000. Health and Sports Day was moved to the second Monday in October as a result of Happy Monday system, a set of modifications to Japanese law creating three-day weekends. So starting in 2000, Health and Sports Day was permanently renamed as Sports Day, known as Supotsu no Hai in Japanese. The reason for this is that the word sports is broader than the physical education, and it also implies voluntary enjoyment. It follows suit with other organizations that have made or plan to make similar changes to their name in Japanese, such as Japan Sports Association and the National Sports Festival of Japan, etc. So to coincide the opening of the 2020 Summer Olympics, a special arrangement was made to move the 2020 date for Sports Day to July 24, with the Olympics and Paralympics postponed until 2021. This change was left in place for 2020, and the government passed an amendment to the Olympic and Paralympic Special Measures Act to make a corresponding change to the holiday in 2021, moving it to July for that year. The festival usually begins with a parade featuring all the different teams that will be participating, divided by neighborhood, class, geographic area, or school. A local marching band normally plays, followed by a performance of the national anthem, Kimigoyo, and the raising of Japanese flag. Local officials make speeches to welcome everyone, and the people spread across the grounds to stretch, and events finally began. The main sport in Japan is baseball. Nowadays, even primary schools have their own baseball teams. Bunkasai are the school festivals that take place in autumn throughout October and November in all schools and universities in Japan. Undokai is the word for sports festival. It combines Japanese word undo, meaning exercise, and kai, gathering. So most communities and schools in Japan celebrate like this. They include many of these traditional track and field events, such as relay, sprinting, and long jump, and other activities include ball toss, tug of war, rugby ball, dribbling races, sack races, and many. Another common event is an obstacle course relay, including many difficult challenges. These include three-leg races, carrying an injured teammate with a stretcher made with a blanket and bamboo poles, laundry hanging, crawling on tug-on-war hands and knees under a net, and doing cartwheels across a match, and so on. This is an event people of any age are encouraged to do, even alone in their homes, stretching routine music, which was developed by the government, it is broadcasted daily on the radio and TV for the people to follow along with the program. So they roll giant balls on this day. A very unusual sport done at the festivities is Uduma Okuri. Divided into teams, they pass it back and forth above their heads in the shortest possible time. A survey by Japan Sports Agency in 2019 showed that the proportion of people who do exercise and sports once in a week or more is over 90% among most elderly age groups. Many museums stay open on this day. Those that normally close on Mondays might stay open on Sports Day and close on Tuesday, the following day. It's not just the sports, the field days also include torch carrying and lighting ceremonies. The third year boys at a school in Saitama Prefecture built a 6-person high human wall and then walked forward about 328 feet during one of these events and set the world record. Many adults grow up to develop sedentary lifestyle. This is why it's important to teach people the importance of staying active, and the sports can be fun from early age. It commemorates the 1964 Summer Olympics. This was the first time the Olympics were held in Asia, the first to be broadcasted on television internationally without the need for tapes to be flown overseas, and the first to have color telecast. For these reasons, it's of particular historical significance. This day gives most people a much needed break for studying or work, even if they are not participating in an event. Parents can take the day to see their children at the sports festival. Ecuador celebrates the independence of Uanakil, a national holiday to commemorate Ecuador's liberation from Spanish rule in 1822. When October 9th falls on a weekend, the holiday is typically observed the following weekday. Today is commemorated as Lao Boat Racing Festival in Laos, which is celebrated on 15th day of each lunar month, usually in October. The boat festival is typically held in Vientiane, Laos, the day after Buddhist Lent ends. Boat races are regular feature in 3 months of Buddhist Lent, between end of August and end of October. Most races start around midday and end by sundown. During this time, a huge boat racing festival is held in Laos. Later, there are several similar gatherings around the Mekong River and other waterways, and the financial race takes place in Ban Giang, Nguyen, a town just outside Vientiane. The first and last races are by far the largest and most important. During this time of year, boat racing festivals are held in numerous cities and villages throughout Laos. Depending on the area, races occur on different days. The day of the week that bound Fansa, the final day of Buddhist Lent, falls on May, also affect when the public holiday is set. Vientiane's Bone Song Hiva is the largest and most well-attended of all boat racing festivals. Races on Phan Muang Road along with Mekong River attract participants from all around the nation. The races typically cover a 2-kilometer distance. However, the starting and finishing products shift slightly yearly based on river's level. A traditional racing boat, which can accommodate around 50 rowers, is crafted from a single tree. Revered as a holy objects, the boats are cleaned and offered in days leading up to races. These boats can be classified into 3 categories: sports boats for men, traditional boats for men, and traditional boats for women. Companies and government agencies invest and frequently fund the city's rowing teams. The women races normally happen first and are followed by men's high-ranking officials, deliver trophies and cash to the winners in each category, and both the races and award ceremonies are streamed live on Laos national television channel. Leading up to the races, the streets fill with enthusiastic fans cheering on their favorite teams. Vendors also crowd the streets selling all kinds of clothing, food, and beverages. Villages along the river have a long-standing custom of beginning preparations for the annual boat racing festivals at the end of the rice planting season, which coincides with the end of wet season. Dragon boats, lengthy boats constructed solely for competing in races, are launched into rivers after being brought down from their houses. Rowing crews began their pre-season training several weeks or even months before actual boat racing season begins. And open-air dance floor are temporarily erected at the temple the night before the race, or even 2 nights before it starts, depending on the situation. So you can hear and attend to live band performers throughout the evening. Teenagers, men and women from neighboring villages and few members party hard in the night. Spend the entire festival enjoying the boat racing festive. in person. Morning services are held in various temples across the country. In the evening, hundreds of colorful floats decorated with flowers increase and the candles sail down the river past the country's templates in candlelight processions. Lao people have performed this colorful rite for hundreds of years to honor the Buddha and thank the river's mother for supplying life-sustaining water. So the morning races start around 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. local time. Each heat typically features two boats racing down the year. It's neck to neck. When a single race is happening in a day, in adjacent places, 6 to 10 boats can join the festival. Up to 10 boats can race. They are all about the experience. The winners only get minor rewards because the races are more about having a good time than winning money. The party keeps going. The festival continues well into the early morning after the last afternoon race. In general, all of the rowing teams receive complimentary meals, refreshments, and lodging. Households are responsible for this as they are thrilled about participating in festival. In addition to the supplying food and drinks, the host town must construct makeshift camps for the invited guests and rowing crews to spend the night before the race. The shelters are made from simple materials such as bamboo or tents. It preserves tradition. Traditional Lao cuisine and beverages are prepared in all homes in the host village, which is teeming with culture. Visitors are served beverages and noodles, usually cow food, as soon as possible. Only close family and friends in Vientiane are likely engage in this behavior. Go to a Tamati holiday is commemorated in Samoa on Monday after the second Sunday of October, honors children and has been observed by the Samoan Islanders since the 19th century. It is marked by the ancestors of the people currently inhabiting the Samoan Islands arrived in the Samoan archipelago about 3,000 years ago. The language characteristics of the Samoans indicated that these settlers were from Tonga. Over the years, the Samoans created stronger bonds with the neighboring Fiji and Tonga Islands through intermarriage between Tongan and Fijian royalty and Samoan nobility. Today is also commemorated as National C60 Day in US. It creates awareness of the molecule C60, labeled as free radical sponge with unbelievable antioxidant properties and countless benefits. Although it may sound like the name of a character from Star Wars, and was in fact discovered by scientists studying interstellar space. C60 is completely natural and is actually found in the carbon-rich atmosphere of giant red stars. C60's antioxidant power is several hundred times higher than that of conventional antioxidants, which is what sets it apart. It works at the cellular level to fit the oxidative burden and enhances mitochondrial function. So what sets C60 manufacturers apart is how they purify C60 and C60 purified through sublimation versus the commonly used oven-baked method, which involves solvents, is recommended. And although it has a little pricier and other C60 products, you'll definitely get what you pay for a cleaner product with absolutely no solvents used during the purification process. You can get your hands on 99.99% pure sublimated C60 through C60 purple powder. At a cellular level, C60 may support your wellness as C60 neutralizes free radicals. C60 lifts the oxidative burden. C60 optimizes mitochondrial function. So carbon is the basis of life, and despite its being a common element, it is one of the most complex. And most studied. C16 or carbon 60 is a fluorine uniquely made up of 60 carbon atoms that naturally occur, resembling a tiny hollow soccer ball. The proper scientific term for C60 is Buckminster fullerene, named after the revolutionary theorist, inventor, and futurist Buckminster Fuller. He was the first to hypothesize the existence of the molecule in 1979 and predicted that the carbon molecule would be widely used in medicine in the future. In 1985, Sir Harold Walter Proto of the University of Sussex, along with Richard Smalley and Bob Cull of Rice University, conducted experiments to determine the molecule responsible for observing infrared light in outer space. Spectrometry evidence showed that the formation of C60 atoms with a spheroidal geometry, their serendipitous findings resulted in the discovery of C60. The molecule was named Buckminster fullerene in honor of Buckminster Fuller. The three scientists were awarded Nobel Prize for discovering C60 on October 9, 1996. Every year on this day, National C60 Day is celebrated. So not only is C60 found in nature, but is it very likely predates life on Earth. It is produced by dying stars called red giants, and it can be found in meteor impacts, lightning strikes, and a very tiny amount can be found in the burnt wicks of candles. The incredible versatility. So today, C60 has gained reputation in the alternative health community and is increasingly recommended by doctors and nutritionists. Today is also commemorated as National Digital Day in US. This day is being organized since August 2019 and is there to celebrate Digital Tool USA, which is the only manufacturer of flight instruments for hot air balloons in the US. Digital Tool USA manufacturers Digital Tool Ball Instrument Model 3, DBI3, which is considered to be the only balloon instrument in the world that has Federal Aviation Administration and European Aviation Safety Agency approval. As a sponsor, National Digital Day will be celebrated at the Albuquerque International Balloon Festa, highlighting the products of Digital Tool USA. Today is also commemorated as National Heritage Day in Turks and Caicos in UK. Today is also commemorated as National Heroes Day of Bahamas. To honor individuals who, through personal achievements and initiatives, have contributed to the growth and development of Bahamas. This year, it will be observed on October 9th. And this day is also called as Discovery Day and Columbus Day until 2030. National Heroes Day of Bahamas usually kicks off by awarding individuals and distinguish themselves in the civil service. Then the Prime Minister delivers a keynote speech at George Street in Nassau, while the honors and speeches end on the day. The festivities and celebrations may extend to entire week. Today is also commemorated as National Kick Butt Day. So, is there any bad habit that you want to kick in the butt, or a resolution you have made but had been trouble following through? Or you can change all that, seize the day and take a little sleep towards fulfilling your goals, and is celebrated across the nation, especially in US, on the second Monday of the October. Good thing it is, because all of us have something that we have been putting off. So let's get it done. Just putting your goals down on a paper could help you get started and keep focused. 1 out of 5 people report that the procrastination has jeopardized their jobs, relationships, and even their health. Psychologists say that you can think your way into a new habit or out of a bad. Think it to do it. 21 days turns out that's a bit of stretch. Researchers says it's closer to 66 days to form a habit. Gratitude helps. Yes, you heard right. Studies show that people who count their blessings grow to be quite successful. It's a time for introspection. This day forces us to think about what's keeping us from our goals. Perhaps we are too busy to prioritize, or maybe we just don't know what we want. It's a day to start small, if necessary, take care of some minor tasks first. After a few successes, things will only get easier. It's a nationwide event. We are not alone. Many dreamers and procrastinators around the world are celebrating with us. Today is also commemorated as National Moldy Cheese Day in US. There are over 1,000 types of cheese ranging in different styles, textures, and flavors depending on the origin of milk, butterfat content, bacteria, and mold, etc. Blue cheese is the most popular kind of moldy cheese with Brie and Camembert not too far behind on the list. Everything's better with cheese. It is one of the most loved foods on the planet. National Moldy Cheese Day is a great excuse to the binge out on all favorite recipes, making delicious chilchan, sandwich, or a simple cheese on toast with yummy gorgonzola and indulge yourself in the flavorful world of cheese. The history and origin of the National Moldy Cheese Day are not known. This day encourages people to consume colored moldy cheeses like Roquefort, Camembert, Brie Blue, Gozuna, Maytag Blue, Gozunola, Stilton, and Roquefort. Cheese is produced by coagulation of the milk protein casein in a wide range of flavors, textures, and forms. The bluish greenish hues of the blue cheese are caused by Penicillium roqueforti or Penicillium glaucum added to the milk or curds. The mole spores grow and spread with the help of small holes that are hit into the cheese. The molds in cheese are completely safe to eat. These molds are responsible for producing a large number of varieties of cheese. They are also the reason for the unique flavor of the cheese. Blue cheeses are often considered the moldiest of all cheeses and have a more distinct smell. Cheese has existed for many years in different forms, flavors, and textures across different parts of the planet, spreading through many cultures. The penicillin in antibiotics is made from the fungus Penicillium chrysogenum. Blue cheese do use Penicillium uh, mold to create the blue veins, but they use a different strain. It is possible that one may be allergic to the drug, but will still be able to eat the cheese with impunity, though there are people who can be allergic to both. Today is also commemorated as National Native American Day in US to honor the traditions and accomplishments of the various Native American tribes, which has been already discussed. So traditional dances, arts, exhibitions, and ceremonies are part of the celebration. And the celebration focus on the culture, traditions, and history of tribes across the country. Each distinct nation has its own set of customs, rituals, and beliefs, appreciating diverse cultural diversity. Today is also commemorated as National Online Bank Day in US. As business increasingly go online, it's no surprise that banking too is following suit. Today, almost every business and every bank has an online presence. We owe much to online banking and technology for the ease, and we now enjoy in banking services. No more enduring long queues or waiting for days to receive or send money, from paying and receiving bills to insurance and investments. Virtually everything can now be done online and at the comfort of one's bedroom. Life without online banking seems unimaginable now. Although online banking services launched in early 1980s, the first National Online Bank Day was observed in 2015. Ali Bank in the US first declared the Online Bank Day to honor 1 millionth consumer. Later, it was decided that the second Monday of every October will be National Online Bank Day. The first home banking service was offered to consumers in December 1980 by United States Bank. The bank partnered with Radio Shack, allowing bank customers to access their account information securely. Today is also commemorated as National Pro-Life Cupcake Day in US. It was initiated by Cupcakes for Life to raise awareness about abortion and encourage an open dialogue on this uncomfortable topic. Cupcakes are used to break the ice and reach out to general public in a non-confrontational way to start a conversation and educate people about the taboo topic of abortion. There is a lot of debate on the origin of cupcakes, especially since food recipes are passed down through families from generation to generation. The first notion of a cupcake was elaborated in American cookery in the West in 1796 cookbook compiled by Emilia Simmons, in which a recipe for a light cake to bake in small cups was written. But the first reference to a cupcake was made by Eliza Leslie, a 19th century American author, in her book titled Recipes. In 19th century, the term cupcake was used for two different purposes: cakes that were baked in individual pottery cups, ramekins or molds, and recipes for what later become known as Day. Is also commemorated as Saint Bartholomew Abolition Day. Which is an opportunity for citizens of Saint Bartholomew to reflect on their horrific past and celebrate their present freedom. The older generation gets an opportunity to share experiences they went through, and younger ones have a new appreciation for their freedom. Today is also commemorated as South Korea Hangul Day in South Korea to commemorate the innovation, invention, and proclamation of the Korean alphabet, known as Hangul or Hangul, is celebrated in North Korea on January 15th as Chosun Girl Day. Before the invention of Hangul, Koreans wrote using classical Chinese with native phonetic writing systems. Hangul has been a national holiday. Day is also commemorated as Uganda Independence Day, which has always been a source of national pride for many Ugandans. Since gaining independence in 1962, Uganda has been referred as the Pearl of Africa. Uganda, with population of over 45 million, is located in the East Africa and is known for producing the world's most natural jewels. Pearls, parades, and performances are typically held nationwide to commemorate Uganda Independence Day. The celebrations and demonstrations frequently reflect on the country's exciting history and catch the attention of tourists worldwide. Thank you everyone for joining us. We request everyone to fill up the feedback form. The feedback form for the event has been launched. I request everyone to quickly fill up the feedback form. Thank you once again, everyone, for joining us. And see you all tomorrow, the same time, 6 o'clock. Take care. Good night. Feedback form has been raised in the form of polls. We request everyone to quickly attend to the polls.